welcome to my first Baldur's Gate video. I am on PlayStation. Before we begin, please like and subscribe and all that stuff. I make these videos more for myself, but it would be kind of nice if I reached a bigger audience. Okay, so I am at pretty much right before the final battle, right? These are all the allies that I managed to gather. This is Will's father. I didn't tell him that I sold his son and basically killed him for no good reason. All of these allies. This is the demon Yerger. You can fight him in Act 2, or you can get him to kill himself, and then in Act 3 he appears with Raphael. But you can talk him into turning on Raphael, and if you do, like I did, he'll surprisingly show up here and be like, "Hey, let's go fuck some shit up." Sad thing is that he's not very useful. None of these guys are very useful, which is really sad because you figured like the Dame from Act 2, or even what's her name, Isabel, that they would be really great. They're not. I haven't tried fucking around with the armored owlbear. I think that would be kind of interesting. I could go back and redo the next battle and try fucking around with that. It might be cool, it might not. There's that little vendor, that little vendor dude from Act 3. There's Zevlor and his tieflings. When you summon these people, like the Harpers, you get like 3 Harpers. It's like, okay, well, you didn't really do jack shit. So ultimately, I ended up using them, like summoning them, and then they ended up dying, and I was like, all right, fuck it, I don't need these guys. But these are the guys, and I didn't try and do Volo. Where's Maul? Oh, there's Arabella, and it would be kind of interesting to summon Arabella and see what she does. The one that I was really looking forward to was Maul on the battle station. There he is. There she is. Sorry. I don't know why her volume's not coming in. Anyway, I was expecting like a bunch of little tieflings to come in and like maybe steal the weapons out of the opponent's hands or something like that. That didn't happen. In fact, I couldn't even find her on the summoning screen, which really kind of pissed me off. So that's going to go in my quality of life video that I'm gonna do next. Anyway, this video, I'm just gonna, I recorded it just a minute ago. It was too long. I'm gonna try and speed run through my builds for the final, and see what I can do to try and get that down, because that was like 45 minutes. I want to make it a little bit shorter. So this is my main character. I did do Rogue. I started with Rogue. I did Rogue Gloomstalker, and then I went into Fighter, and I did a Thief. You could do Assassin. It does more damage, yes, on the first round. You get a better initiative, which you don't really need at all. I mean, you want to go first, but it's overkill. The point is, though, is that all that extra damage that you do, if you don't kill everything in the first round, it's irrelevant, because then you don't get it for the next round. But every subsequent round that you're attacking stuff, you certainly do get another attack with your extra bonus action, which, in my opinion, was more beneficial to have all those extra bonus actions. I ended up going Gloomstalker up to 5, obviously for the extra attack, and then I went with a champion on the Fighter. I didn't really care so much about the action surge. I seriously just wanted to have that extra for the champion, the extra point for the crit increase. So that, if I didn't go with the with the Fighter, I would have been happy taking the Ranger up to 8, or even just going the Rogue up to. I probably would have been happy just doing the Rogue up to 8, 7, right? Yeah, 7. Or I would have done the Ranger up to 8, so I could have got the extra feat. So the way that I have it right now, obviously I'm missing an extra feat. I made that, decision intentionally. I don't really kind of regret it. There are kind of times when it's nice to have that extra attack. And I definitely feel like the crit bonus comes in quite a bit. As far as my armor goes, I did go with the Um, the Helldusk helmet, that is the one that I ended up using, mainly because you can see you can't be blinded. So the extra saving throw is nice, which in the fact that you can't be critted. So the extra saving throws is nice because I'm also taking um, I'm getting disadvantage on my saving throws with the risky ring, which I'm offsetting by getting advantage on the intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws, and then I'm offsetting the disadvantage that I get um, on the rest of them by getting a +2 bonus there, and then with the Helldusk boots, I'm if I fail a saving throw, I can use a reaction to succeed instead. So I'm mitigating the fact that I'm gonna have to make a bunch of saving throws. I don't think it ever popped up and said, hey, you succeeded because, or do you want to succeed because of the infernal invasion? So I think it's a pretty solid build. Obviously, the Colkey displacement is fucking insane. Everybody gets disadvantaged to hit me. My armor class is 23, I believe. Yep, 23. Um, and I'm using the armor of agility. Now, when I'm walking around in the world, I'm using the graceful cloth primarily for the advantage on dexterity rolls. And my armor class with that on is, well, it's just 16, so that's not as good, obviously. But it's still pretty decent for the one or two tiny fights. And plus, honestly, with the crossbows, I ended up like killing almost everything with this character by himself in like most of the minor skirmishes before they even get an attack. So I'm not worried about that. It's only like the armor agility only really pops on when we're going to go into the medium or big sized attacks, which we're right on the cusp of right here. Um, and then I'm usually concentrating on something. So we have the strange conduit ring. Now I know that there's other options that we could have went with for the gloves. We went with this one basically for the extra attack and damage. And it's just solid, in my opinion. Then, as far as this is some of the weapons that I know that I wish we would have had earlier in Act 3. If I would have known about some of these weapons, I would have went in and got these weapons earlier, for sure. So this is the Crimson Mischief. This one does more piercing damage for this, but also your arrows. Your arrows are piercing, so that's going to do more piercing damage. So that's really nice. I have the Rhapsody on here, which is amazing. Now I know that I'm going to call it a glitch on the PC. If you can get your stacks up by killing crates or vases or whatever, and then you can give it to your other companions, and they can do the same. Here, if I get my stacks up and then I switch it off, my stacks go away. And I don't know if that's just a PlayStation thing or if they patched it or what. So I just leave it on the character, which is fine because I don't generally use any of those weapons, but it would be nice to, for example, it would be nice to put in Knife on a Mountain so I get an extra crit chance, but not the end of the world. Now, both of these are acquired in Act 2, which is kind of sad that they didn't have any upgrades for any of the Hellfire or any of the crossbows in Act 3. That kind of irritated me a little bit. Honestly, though, the hand crossbows are literally insane. I will use the hand crossbows every time over a standard bow. Especially if you're taking rogue, the extra attacks that you get with the bonus action are nuts. So the Hellfire crossbow, this is really good, and then this is the other one, and you'll notice that I don't think I have these ones dipped in poison, which is something else that I found out late into Act 3, that you can dip your weapons into poison. If you throw the poison on the ground and then dip your weapon, it lasts all day, as opposed to just coating your weapon in the middle of combat, which I was doing like a noob. So that kind of sucks. Um, and then that's pretty much it for that character. I'm gonna try it. Like I said, I'm gonna try and do a little bit quicker on this one, and we'll go into more depth on some of these
Whatever comes,
loadouts
I'm
before.
ready.
Now, for Shadowheart, I respect her as a life domain cleric. Basically, I don't need her, and I don't need Gale. I do so much damage with just Lysel and my main character that the other two are just kind of there to witness my glory. So the Baldurian helmet is basically just there for the bonus to AC. Um, can't land, can't be critted. I haven't actually used the Crusader's Mantle because I got this late game, but there's not a lot of cloak selections, so we put that on. Boots of Aid and Comfort, I believe you get in Act 1. She's pretty much just there to be a healing bitch. Okay. Armor of Persistence. This is, if I'm reading this right, you gain Legendary Resistance and Blade Ward. So, I mean, you're pretty much always going to take half damage from everything. That's nuts. Um, the reviving hands, so you're always giving people blade ward, and you're also restoring 2 additional hit points every time you heal a creature. Also blessing everybody every time you heal a creature. Your this one just increases your uh, spell DC, so that's why we got that. Now, I'll use this staff in the morning when we get up to do, because of the arcane battery. I'll put this staff on, so when I cast the Hero's Feast, it's not taking away my 6th level spell slot, and then I'll change it out for a weapon or something like that. Especially if we're gonna get, I know we're gonna get into combat. I'll put in, come on. I'll do the staff of the arcane blessing because it's basically a double bless. Or I don't really do that anymore. Or I'll put in the Handmaiden's Mace, just I don't know, just something else other than that, because at that point it's kind of irrelevant. And then as far as the bow, um, I know that everybody says this is a really good bow. I have it basically there just so I can get haste um, on her if I need it, but I rarely ever do that. In fact, ever since I got that bow, which I also got late in the game, I don't think I've actually used that on her. And then I gave her the Sentinel Shield because she was kind of going last a lot, or kind of in the middle. The initiative is only a 1 die 4, so you don't need the feats like Alert and things like that. You just need to have like a 3, like a 4 or 5 bonus. And with her dexterity and this, she gets a +5. That's more than enough for her to go before the vast majority of the enemies, which is perfect. Um, all right, then as far as her, whoops, come on, get out. As far as she goes, um, all of these maces are the devotee maces. So what I ended up doing is I got them from the um, divine intervention. There's 4 different options. One of them is to get a weapon, and I respect all the characters to clerics, did the divine intervention, got all the weapons, so that she's got 10 of them on her character at all times. Um, what I end up doing is I get in combat, and it's rare that I actually do it in combat. It's more almost like an afterthought after combat is over. Um, sorry, you have to click on them just right, or they decide that they don't want to work. So even though I got 10 of them and I have them all spec'd up into my hotbars, there we go. Here's one. So you can do this healing aura. Now this healing aura does 1 to 4, but with all the specs that I have, everybody's getting blessed, everybody's getting blade warded, everybody's getting temporary hit points, and they're getting an additional like 6 to 10 extra hit points every single time. So it ends up being really powerful if I actually need it. I rarely waste the energy to do it in the middle of combat, um, just because it's just not really worth all that time. Anyway, That's pretty much what I did there. We'll go into like some of her spells on another video. I want to kind of keep them a little short. So here's Gale. I respected Gale as a sorcerer. And actually, I did him as a wild magic sorcerer just because I wanted to have some fun and just see the wild interactions. When he turns people into a sheep, it's absolutely hilarious. So I did go the Hood of the Weave for the spell DC. I went with the Cloak of the Weave for the spell DC. Went with the boots, basically for the armor class. Um, Went with the Helldusk armor because you don't need to have a proficiency in it, and setting your armor class to 21 and then anything above that is absolutely insane. So it's very rare that he gets hit, especially now that I gave him shield. So that ends up being pretty insane. The extra stuff on there is just like, bonus. I did give him the Helldusk gloves basically for the spell DC. I know that I could get more use out of those gloves if I were to put them on one of the other characters, but that's okay. I ran out of rings. Apparently, people are saying the Paralyzing Ray is really good. I didn't actually use it yet. I also got that kind of late in the game. The Ring of Feywild Sparks, that's also... Um, yeah, that's supposed to trigger the wild magic more. So I basically put that on there just to screw around and have some fun with that. I put in the slot of restoration just so that I could get the extra. If I fuck up the whole entire thing with the staff, I can do that. And then the staff is nuts, so it's giving disadvantage on all necromancy saving throws against my spells. And then it ends up the life essence harvest, and I know you guys have probably seen videos on this. If you kill somebody with a necromancy spell, it replenishes the necromancy spell. So you walk around doing circles of death on everybody, or other spells like dethrone, and you end up crushing people. And then I ended up doing the Hellrider bow basically for the +3 initiative. So make sure if you're a spellcaster, you don't want all the dudes with swords coming up. Now, I do think that I would have liked to do this as a wizard, and here's why. Scroll of Artistry of War, I believe, is a 5th level spell that you can learn. Maybe it's 4th level, and you get a scroll of it. You can cast it, or alternatively, if you're a wizard, you can just learn it, and then you can cast as much as you want. So that might have been kind of cool. There's a couple of others. There, Dethrone. This is probably the highest DPS necromancy spell. I believe it's a necromancy spell in the game. And it ends up, I mean, it's doing necrotic damage, so I'm assuming it's a necromancy spell. It's got an insane range, and with the staff, you should be able to get that back pretty much any time. So I think that there's a lot to be said about that particular spell, and yeah, I have a scroll of it, but then I get one use of it and it's done. So I think the ability of the wizard to have that is huge, and I might do a Mystic Thirds run where I make a cleric, give him one wizard level so I can learn all the scrolls, and then do the rest as cleric, and then I can choose between both of them. You get all the best cleric spells, all the best wizard spells. That's a build that I'm thinking I'm going to probably do a run through on, because I do love magic. I did do my first build as the rogue. That was specifically because I knew there was going to be a lot of interactions with. Actually, let's go back to that one quick. I knew there was going to be a lot of interactions with people, and also a lot of traps and other things like that. So I do have all these ones with the orange on there. Those ones are all ones that are expertise, right? So I have expertise in stealth because I knew I was going to want to sneak around. I did the expertise in perception because I knew that I did not want to die to traps There's lots of little things I wanted to see, secret passages, stuff like that. I wanted to be aware of that. And then that's the other reason why I said I would probably go up to level 8 in Rogue, because I could have gotten another, or 7 in Rogue, because I could have gotten another couple of expertise points that I could have put in there. And then I could have grabbed Sleight of Hand. Now, if you're going to go around stealing shit from everybody and being sneaky, then I would say do stealth and do sleight of hand. I There's a bug with the sleight of hand, if you ask me, when it comes to pickpocketing on the PlayStation. I'm going to get into that in another video when I do the quality of life video. Um, so here's the last character. I respect Lizelle instantly as a barbarian. The reckless attack is absolutely insane. Having advantage in all of your attack rolls is nuts, and I absolutely love it. So we did that, and normally I don't go with the whole unarmored AC stuff, because usually it's almost, your armor class is almost always better if you're actually wearing armor, because it's very rare that you're going to be able to get your dexterity and constitution score up to a point where you're going to outpace it. The only reason why I can in this scenario is because of the Amulet of Greater Health. If it wasn't for that amulet, I would not be able to do that. And I'd be better off with the Armor of Agility, or something else. So I ended up getting this, though. This gives you temporary hit points when you rage, reduces some incoming damage, and they take damage when they attack you. I got this very late in Act 3, so that also kind of sucked. But that's what I'm using now, and my armor class is 21, which is pretty good. Now, I could have eked out a couple more points because I did have the gloves of dexterity on, which are level, or I think you get those in Act 1, right? And then, and that strength score of 24 is all from ability increases. So the one thing that I did not know is that potions, and here's the potion of Cloud Giant Strength, sets your score to 27. When you do this, you can drink this potion. Now my strength is 27. It's going to stay like that for the entirety until I take a long rest, the entire day, and I think that is pretty huge. Um, if I would have known that, I didn't find that out until like pretty much right before the final battle. And if I would have known that in Act 1, it would have made Act 1 so much easier to go to Auntie Ethel, grab those potions of Hill Giant Strength, and run around smacking people. It is what it is, though. So when I look at this, though, I'm looking at her. I would have respected it. I would have taken all the points that I put into strength. I would have put them inside dexterity. I would have got her dexterity up to 22. Right, I could have done that. Yeah. So I would have got her dexterity up to 22. Is there a way to get it to 24? No, I think up to 22. And then that would have given her another couple points. So she would have been at like a 23, 24 armor class. And I could have put some more points into like wisdom or something like that, because pretty much with the potions lasting all day, strength is now a dumb stat. You don't need that in there, although there is kind of a bug with that as well. So I know, like, if I do like a strength check on something, if I have an 8 strength, but I have a potion of Cloud Giant Strength and it says 27 on it, that strength check will give me a -1 for having an 8 strength, but then it'll give me a plus 5, 6, 8 for having a plus, for 27 strength. So does that mean it's giving me double bonuses for damage too? Like if I get a +5 there and another +5 otherwhere? I kind of tested that out. Didn't really work out that way. Anyway, this is... oops. I basically put this one on for the extra attack rolls and the initiative, because I always want her to go first. And then the Cloak of Protection. There's not really any other great cloaks. There's not a ton of cloaks. So I think there's There's one other cloak here that I have that we could have done. So while hiding, you can increase your critical chance by one. Ooh, I mean, if you're soloing it and you're always hiding, sure, but not necessary. And if you're doing that anyway, you're probably an assassin. And you're getting free criticals anyway on the first hit while you're hiding, so it's kind of irrelevant. Get these in Act 1, I believe, and they're still the best boots in the game for the Barbarian. Just click them and get her anywhere on the map. Now, in hindsight, I think that once you get in Act 3 and everybody starts flying, it's perfect because then you don't have to worry about difficult terrain and all that other stuff. Um, but these boots of speed, plus that's a bonus action to do that, so you can run around and do that instead of doing like a dash. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if these activating the mind flare fly is the same thing as casting a fly. So I should test that out, but I got these late in the game, so I might have changed those out with a little bit more testing. If I didn't put these in, I would put in some gauntlets that would do some additional bonus damage or something. Maybe take Gale's gauntlets in there since he doesn't really need the DCs or whatever. I do like the movement on her, so she still is running around with Crusher's Ring, which I think is in Act 1. Maybe it was in Act 2. The Cossack Band, that was an Act 1 thing, I think. And there's not a lot of rings that I can give her. I'm sure that there are probably better ones I'm just not thinking about, but that's what I ended up going with. Obviously, the Amulet of Greater Health. I gave her the Darkfire short bow, mainly because then she can cast haste and she gets resistance to fire and cold. I mean, that's really it. Other than that, I mean, yeah, there's Deadshot and some other things, but she's never using those other abilities for range. She's always just flying up to an enemy, smacking the shit out of them, and moving on to the next enemy. I mean, like I said, Lizelle and my main character pretty much don't need the other ones. They're just there to watch my glory. This is still, in my opinion, there's another one called Soulbreaker, which I think is about the same or slightly better. But this is like the best sword. You get it in Act 1 if you're clever, and this is the best sword for a Githyanki. I don't think that you need another sword other than this one. When you're looking at the weapons, excuse me, um, oops, sorry. This one comes close. Now you're doing 2 extra damage on average. Actually, on average, you're doing a little bit more because you're getting double your strength modifier. So yeah, technically this one is going to do slightly more. Now I did also get this one late into Act 3. So you're technically doing slightly more, but in the hands of a Gith, you're getting an intelligence, advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. Resistance to psychic damage, which there's a ton of in Act 2 or Act 3, and you can't be charmed. And the last thing you want is your character running around in smacking your allies. Now, I do see that the other one has giant form. I haven't actually tested that out. Let's come on, get out. I do have the Susser Greatsword, which I pull out every once in a while when I know I'm going against spellcasters, but rarely. I just usually smack them down. Where is the giant? Wait. Topple the big folk. I don't know. I mean, this is not the video to go do testing. I just thought maybe I could run and do that quick. I don't see where... Is this it? No. Where's the giant form? Oh, here we go. Alright, so basically it's just like enlarge. So it's not... That's just going to get you an extra 1 to 4 damage. So technically it'll do a little bit more damage, but I think that the bonuses that you get... Oops. I think the bonuses that you get from the silver sword are still worth it. Plus, now that I'm bigger, I could just swap that out. So I could just swap the weapon. And now I'm going to still do the same amount of damage. And it's going to be better in the long run. So I did end up making her 4 levels of fighter, not so much for the axe and surge. I wanted to have the bonus to crit. So that's why we went 8 levels of barbarian and 4 levels of fighter. Anyway, that's my loadouts, what I did to complete the game. I'm going to do another video where I kind of go over some quality of life changes. But that'll bring the video to a close for now. Anyway, if you did like it, I appreciate if you would do a sub. I know I don't really care so much about that stuff. These videos are more for me than anything else. But it would be nice to reach a bigger audience, especially if people are trying to find stuff specifically for the PlayStation, because I did try to find stuff specifically for the PlayStation, especially a specific part in Act 2 where I literally spent an hour pulling my hair out trying to do one specific mind puzzle, and I couldn't figure it out on the console because it's not intuitive. Anyway, that'll bring the video to a close for now. So hope to see you guys when I do the remaining videos, and thank you.